Hi, hi, it's Tuesday, hooray! I normally say it's Friday, hooray, or Thursday, but here we are on Tuesday. It is Giving Tuesday, not just any Tuesday, it is Giving Tuesday, and that means a lot of things. It is also still Cyber Prime Day. That runs December 2nd through December 4th. And so you've still got a little bit of time to grab some amazing deals over at jessiejamesbeads.com. Hi, Rachel. Rachel, I saw your post just a couple minutes ago. You make me laugh. You are so, so funny. I love it. I'm so glad you're here. That's what makes my job so great. And Lena, I get to see Lena too. I get to see all of you. Angie, it's so good to have you guys come hang out. So, what's on the table for today? Unfortunately, Miss Rachel, we're not doing any wrap loops today. I know. I hear the crowd going, oh, bummer. No wrapped loops, but that's okay. We're still doing fun stuff, right? We really and truly are just going to kind of hang out. We're going to chit chat a little bit, and we're going to string up some stretch bracelets because who doesn't love stretch bracelets, right? And stretch bracelets are perfect, in my opinion, for Giving Tuesday because you can give these to everybody, right? You grab yourself a beautiful strand of Jessie James beads, which just happened to be 40% off starting now. I'm double checking, just making sure. Always want to get my information right. So strands are going to be 40% off until 9 p.m. tonight. There is also free shipping with your $49 minimum purchase. And because it's Giving Tuesday, 10% of your proceeds from any of today's purchases will go to Beads of Courage, which is really a wonderful, wonderful organization. If you do not know about Beads of Courage, definitely Google that, check them out. It is one of the best organizations that we at Jessie James Beads work with. Really, really good stuff going on with them. And all of you are here. Fran, Melanie, hi. So like I was saying, we are not going to do any kind of major project today. We're just going to chit chat and hang out for a little bit. We're going to look at strands. I'm going to remind you of some strands that maybe you had forgotten about because, you know, there's so much new stuff going on. Sometimes you forget that there was one that, you know, you really wanted, and today is going to be your chance to get that with the incredible sales that are going on. So definitely want you to take advantage of that. And something else. So this is just the first. If you haven't seen the little announcement that is on Facebook, today is just the first of many lives coming up actually over the next 2 weeks. So it's pretty cool. You guys are going to be, by the end of this, you're going to be so tired of me. You're going to be, you know, doing my accent. You're going to, the whole thing. You're going to have that whole Southern drawl thing that I've got going on. You guys will be able to impersonate me by the end of all this. All right, so what was I even saying? Oh, gosh. Okay, I was going to tell you guys about all the times I'm going to be here. I'm sorry. It is one of those days. So today, we're going to hang out for a little bit today. I will be back on Thursday at 11 a.m. to do another tutorial with you guys. I've got a, let's see, it is a earrings project. I've got 3 projects like on deck at the moment, so I'm trying to remember which ones go where. So I've got an earrings project coming up for you guys on Thursday at 11 a.m. Then at 6:30 p.m. I will be over on Silver Silk with a project that is not finished yet, but it is in the works at the moment. And then again on Friday at 1 p.m. I will be doing another project for you guys. I have a pendant that we're going to be working on. So lots of fun stuff going on. I can't wait to show you guys these projects. They're really, really cool. And I'm happy to be back over at Silver Silk. I had taken a little bit of a break over there. Neely has had lots of traveling going on and lots of other things in the works for him, so we are finally able to get our schedules back together again. And yeah, so I've got lots to share with you guys, and then next week you're gonna have me again. more. There's going to be 2 projects here on Jesse James Bead, a project over on Silver Silk and 2 over on Sara Ellis Designs. So I am a busy, busy girl. And in the middle of this, I have the Bead Society. I'm finishing up my Christmas shopping for my husband. And yeah, actually when I leave here, I'm headed out to go do the shopping. I actually just talked to Sarah James a second ago, and we were talking about how we would rather shop online, like do the Cyber Prime Day deals or, you know, the Cyber Monday, that kind of thing, than actually go out there into the world on Black Friday and compete with the masses to get what you want for Christmas. I used to do that years ago. I used to go and do that, and oh man, you have to, it takes a certain kind of person. And I don't know, I get really anxious when I'm in like big groups of people like that. It makes me crazy. And one year I actually worked at a toy store. We're chit-chatting today, okay? Little story. So I worked at a big toy store chain, and I don't know what I was thinking. It was just, I needed the extra money for the holidays. I was very young. And so I started working like in October for them. And so I ended up there for Black Friday, and I had to get up and be at the store at 3 a.m. And I remember having to fight through the crowd to actually get into the store itself so that I could work. It was crazy. Like, we had to call the police. There were ladies fighting in a toy store. There was, the armored trucks were coming and going, which made me very nervous and uncomfortable. It was just, it was crazy. So after that, I swore I would never work retail again. At least not in a Black Friday situation. And then, you know, I did the shopping a few times, but gosh, after that, I was like, nope. I can sit at home in my pajamas and do all this online. That's what I'm going to do. So I hope that's what you guys are doing. I hope you guys are checking out the jessijamesbeads.com. All of the fun things that are on the side. I keep refreshing. I just want to check to see if the new slider has come up for you guys, because you know how it goes with Cyber Prime Day. There is always a new deal, something new going on. You have to check back often. You can go over to the blog on jessijamesbeads.com and pull up the Cyber Prime Day post if you want to read more about how the Cyber Prime Day deals work. Just in case you are new to this, you can sign up to get the Jesse James Beads emails in your inbox, and then you will never miss when a new sale starts, which is great. Not just for Cyber Prime Day, but for all the time, right? You don't ever want to miss a sale that's going on at Jesse James Beads. I don't, for sure. I want to know what's going on. You can like them, or us rather, you can like us on Facebook, and you can get notifications that way. And also, if you're not a member of the Secret Stash group, sometimes there's some special stuff just for our Secret Stash members. So go join our Secret Stash group if you are not a member of that yet. It's a really great group. There's lots of love and support and friendship, and I've had the opportunity to talk to and make friends with so many of you. I really love that. It is the highlight of my Facebook experience. So, all right, we're gonna do stretchy bracelets. I know those are kind of easy, and you know, but here's the thing about stretchy bracelets. Everybody does them differently, right? Stretchy bracelets are one of those things where everybody has a tried and true way to tie the knot, and they swear by it. This knot's never going to come undone. This is the only knot you can use for this. And the truth is that I did a little bit of research ahead of time for this, which I tend to do because I'm kind of nerdy like that, particularly with jewelry. But I did a little bit of research about knots and about stretch knots in particular. And it turns out there's no just one tried and true method. There are actually about 4 different ways you can tie stretch bracelets that will hold. So if your way works, don't stop using it. Right? You don't need me to tell you that. Don't stop what you're doing. If it's not broken, don't fix it. I mean, that's just common sense, folks. So I'm going to show you 2 different knots that I know of. These are the ones that I use, and I do have a tendency to use glue just because I am like all about making sure that knot does not come undone. But just because I show you these 2 knots does not mean that there are not other ways. How many times can I say not? There are not other ways to tie a knot for a stretch bracelet. And what's great about Jesse James bead strands is that one strand will, if you've got a small wrist, one strand is the perfect size for me. I have really small wrists, so I don't have to add any extra beads, but sometimes you do. Sometimes you have to go add a bead or two to get it just the right length. And then you really do have a perfect gift for Giving Tuesday. Had to tie that back in there. It just took my brain a second to catch up with my mouth. That is the story of my life, folks. Okay, so yes, Rachel says it's not easy when the cord snaps and beads go everywhere. So yeah, you find a method for tying these that really works, because not only is it a pain when your beads go flying everywhere, but it's really embarrassing if you're in a booth and somebody comes along and tries on one of your stretchy bracelets and it snaps. You can guarantee that that customer is already 1 foot out of your booth. They're ready to go, so you have to kind of convince them to come back in. It's okay, I can fix it, no big deal. So yeah, if you've got a knotting method that works, go with that, because it's never fun to have to pick up your beads or to explain to a customer why it is that you're not failed. All right, enough of the chatting from my face. Let's chitty chat down here, shall we? All right, so let's go. Okay. Whoa, I really need to tighten this thing up. I keep saying I'm going to, and then I never do. You guys, I never learn. Okay, so I have my little Cyber Prime 2019 print out here to keep in the shot so you don't forget. And unfortunately, all I had was black and white on my printer today. So this is not the prettiest paper or advertisement you are going to see, but that's okay. That's okay. No problem. All right, so let's bring in one of the strands. Maybe you guys have forgotten about these beauties. These are some of my favorite strands. You guys remember the Destination Hawaii collection? One of my absolute favorite collections from Jesse James Beads. I had to have them all, right? I needed them, absolutely needed to have them all. And what was great about them was all of the different colorways that they came in. So if you are interested in grabbing your strands for 40% off, definitely go do that. And this strand is still available. This is the, Sarah, if you are here, you probably need to correct me. I'm not even going to try to say it. Mauna I think that's this one. Yeah, I'm not even going to try to say that one more than once. So this is a beautiful strand that has some very kind of volcanic, if you will, vibes to it. And it's got the black, it does have a little bit of the orange. We've got lots of different metals going on here. We do have the lava rock beads, which are some of my absolute favorite beads. If you've never used these before, they're really, really cool. They're just kind of funky, cool looking, but they're also really lightweight, which I love, because I love a great big bead, but a great big bead that isn't super heavy. So what I was thinking we could do is we're going to take this strand, and though it has that volcano kind of feel to it, we're actually going to turn this into a Christmas strand. We're going to add some green to this. I've got a mini mix here, and I cannot even begin to pronounce the name of this mini mix. This came from the Goddess collection, another really awesome collection from Jesse James Beads, and some of these are still available. If you guys have not ever purchased a mini mix before, I highly recommend adding one of these to your cart, or several of these to your cart. Number one, they make great stocking stuffers because the size is just absolutely adorable. But the mini mixes always have a really great variety of small beads that you can use as spacers. So for instance, in this bracelet, I'm going to replace, you see all the little black beads that are in here? I'm going to replace each one of those black beads with a green bead. And so we're going to use these little guys. Not only can you use your mini mixes all by themselves, because you can, there's definitely enough beads here to work up your own design, but the small beads make wonderful spacers. So that's why I say, if you're going to go shop on the strands during the 40% off for the strands, grab a couple of mini mixes. particularly if you've got a wrist that's a normal size. Mine is not. I have like really weird, freakishly small wrists. But if you're a normal human being, unlike myself, you may need to add some extra beads to your strand to make it the right length to fit comfortably on your wrist. And what better way to do that than with a mini mix, because there are so many different colors and shapes and styles. You can really coordinate these with your strands, and they're just awesome. I can't speak highly enough about the mini mixes. I love them. And I love the little containers too. If you ever get finished with the beads in your mini mix, and believe me, it takes a long time to work your way through a mini mix, then you do have the cute little container that you can recycle and use for other things, which I also love. I love little containers. All right, so I'm just going to kind of spread these out of the way. So I've pulled out some green beads here, and we're going to replace these black beads on the strand and just add some pops of green to this to give it more of a kind of Christmassy holiday feel, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to snip the end of the strand, and I'm going to leave really the design of the strand. I'm going to leave it just like it is, but again, just popping those greens in. But what I'm using for this is elasticity. I'm using the clear elasticity, and I'm using 1 millimeter. If you are unfamiliar with elasticity, it is a Beadalon product, and it is made here in the USA, which is really important to several of us who are customers here in the USA. Beadalon is a brand that not only do I work for, but I trust very, very much. I've actually seen firsthand where and how lots of the Beadalon products are made, so I can definitely attest to the quality. The stretch cord, this stuff is really sturdy. So at first glance, this looks like a monofilament, like a fishing line, but it's not. It is stretchy. It can come in a variety of sizes, but 1 millimeter is kind of my go-to. And you can pick this up over on jessiejamesbeads.com. You can stick this into your cart and, you know, just add this to your order. Particularly if you're looking for that free shipping, go ahead and fill your cart up for that $49 limit and get your free shipping. Totally, totally worth it, because when you're filling up your cart with strands, remember that, you know, these guys can be kind of heavy, so it's really cool to take advantage of that free shipping on these. Okay, so with elasticity, one thing about them is that on the back, there is actually a knotting method here on the back. I'm going to show you this knotting method. This is one of the first ways that I learned how to knot elastic cord. It's not my favorite, and I'll show you why in just a second. Actually, I'm not going to show you this one on the first bracelet. I'm going to show it to you on the second bracelet, but I'll tell you why. There are certain instances where this is the knot that I would use, and other times where this is not the knot that I would use. All right, so I'm just going to pull out a length of elasticity. You always want to give yourself more than you actually need, okay? So if you're going to make about a 7.5 inch bracelet, you definitely want to give yourself more of the elasticity. Don't shortchange yourself on the length with this stuff, you guys, and it's inexpensive, so you can. Don't be frugal when it comes to your elasticity, because this stuff you can pick up several rolls of this and it's not going to break the bank. All right, so the very first thing that you want to do with this is you want to stretch it out. This is like probably the #1 tip that I could give to anybody who's making a stretch bracelet. Stretch your cord ahead of time. If you don't, what happens is the weight of your beads, even though they don't feel heavy in your hands, over time, they are going to go ahead and stretch this cord out for you. So after you've worn the bracelet 3 or 4 times, the 5th time, 6th time you go to put your bracelet on, it's all stretched out because you didn't pre-stretch your cord. So I take my cord in just short segments and just stretch it out ahead of time. I give it a really, really good stretch. And you are waking up all of the little particles in this stretch cord and making them stand up and do exactly what they're supposed to do. So just want to stretch all of that out ahead of time. And don't forget your ends, okay? And I stretch through a few times. I'll wrap it around my fingers. Just want to be sure that it's going to hold and not stretch out on me later. Okay, so keeping with the design that is in the bracelet already, again, skipping the black. So I'm just going to pull the black bead off, and in its place, I'm just going to thread on one of these green beads from the mini mix, and then I'm going to thread on one of the red beads. Now, as I'm going, okay, as I'm threading the bracelet onto the cord, I like to kind of scout out what beads in the strand have a large hole, because that's where I want my knot to go. I like to be able to hide the knot inside a bead. Sometimes that's not possible. There's another black bead, so we're just going to pull it off, set it to the side, and bring in a green one. A lot of times it's not possible, depending on the size of the beads that you're using or the size of your elasticity. But if you can find a good bead on your strand that's got a big hole, and tie your knot next to it, and then you can pull the knot into that bead. So I'm just going along here, going to thread all of these beads on, and again, keeping an eye out for one of the ones that's got a large hole. And there's actually one coming up. That's going to be the one that I use, and so I'll show you what I'm going to do. All right, so I'm taking this black bead off, replacing it with a green one. We're just going to give this more of a Christmas feel with that red and green, which I think is going to be really pretty. Look at that. I really like that. I know, right? Rachel, you're so right. It seems counterintuitive, right? To stretch the cord out, it would make you think that you are, you're weakening the cord. You're actually not. This stuff is heavy duty, okay? Now, the thinner ones, you are, you know, if you pull them too hard, you're going to snap it. I mean, that's just common sense, like you said. But the thicker cords, you can really pull on these. I'm talking, it takes a lot of pressure to pull on this and make it snap. So you're not really going to be weakening it. I know it seems weird, right? But you're not. In fact, the number one thing that happens to these, other than the cord, or I'm sorry, other than the knot slipping open, here's our large hole bead. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn around. I'm going to make this the end. So now I'm going to thread over here on this side, starting with the end. Do you see what I'm doing here? It doesn't really matter what the middle is, right? Because it's a continuous circle. I'll get back to the stretchy thing here in just a second. But here, let me show you. So it was going this direction, right? And I found my large hole bead. This is the bead that I want to use. So this is going to now be the bead on the end. So I'm just going to swap places. I'm not going to thread on this end down here anymore. I'm going to thread the length of the bracelet now, starting on the other end down here. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And also, to keep my beads on the cord so that they don't slip off, I'm going to take the end of my cord and I'm going to go back through this large hole bead here on the end just to create a stop bead. A lot of you who are seed beaders, you know exactly what a stop bead is. Some of you may not, and that's okay. Well, if I can get it to go through, there we go. So I'm just looping the stretch cord around that bead, so now nothing's going to fall off. Okay, just using this last bead as a stop bead. Okay, so now back to what I was saying. What was I saying? I was talking about the number one thing that happens other than the knot slipping out on a stretch bracelet. Oh, we're not using the black, we're using the green. And I do want to keep that gold bead in there, sorry. So other than the knot slipping, the one thing that happens to this cord, and it's not that it gets weak, it's that there's a sharp edge on one of your beads and it actually slices through the cord. And a lot of times you won't know that you've got a bead that has a sharp edge on it right off the bat. You can look at them, particularly your large hole beads, make sure that they are clean cut straight through. And Jesse James beads are always, the quality on these is always perfect. So I've not ever had one that has cut through. But gemstones in particular, you want to be careful, because if the hole is not drilled correctly, or it's drilled sideways. It's got a sharp edge in there sometimes and you don't see it until it's too late and it's cut through your elastic cord. So that's really more of a concern for me than stretching out your cord and making it weak. That was really a lot of talking for a very short. That's why I'm in this business, right? I can talk to a brick wall. All right, so still threading on, right? This is actually the middle of the bracelet if we're keeping up with what's the middle, and we're really not. All right, so I've just replaced all of the small black beads with some green beads, and we're almost done here, and we're gonna tie the knot in this and tuck it into one of our large hole beads. All right. This is one of my favorites. This is so cool because you can use this by itself or with the bead in it like it comes. So first we thread through the outer ring, then we thread through the bead, and then we need to thread back through the other side. So pull it out just a little bit and get that elastic through there. Probably, oh, that was fairly easy. Sometimes it's a little bit easier if you struggle with that to actually lay it flat. All right, so here we are. Now, I know this bracelet doesn't make any sense anymore because of the way that it is thread on, but it will when you guys see it all together, right? So it doesn't matter where the end and the beginning are. So I'm just gonna take my stop bead off. I'm not really taking the bead off, but unlooping. Okay, so I'm gonna take my two ends and you just want to cross them over, okay? Just creating an X. Now, I do a surgeon's knot. And so basically it's just an overhanded knot. I'm going to take this is my left-handed cord going across the right-handed cord. I'm going to go under and up, and then I'm going to go under and up again, right? So it's just an overhanded knot that I've knotted twice. Then I'm just going to pull. Now, another thing that people do with stretch bracelets is they pull this way too tight, and what happens when you pull it way too tight, then all of a sudden your beads start getting these sharp bends in them. I don't know if I can get this one to do it or not, but you can tell, like if you've pulled this way too tight, then all of a sudden you can see you've got more of a square shape than an actual bracelet shape. So you want to leave yourself some wiggle room, right? I mean, you want this to be a flexible bracelet. All right, so now I'm just going to do the same thing, but this time it's going to look a little different because I not only am I tying the knot again, but I'm also holding tension on the knotting that I've already done. So I use my first finger and my middle finger to kind of pull the tension, right? And I use my fingers to open all this up and hold it. Basically what I'm doing is the exact same thing. I just have my fingers in the way. Okay, so here's my cord coming across the right-handed cord, same thing, going underneath once and then underneath twice, right? Pull. Okay, so I've pulled all that down, but that's not good enough for me. What I want to know is if it's really going to hold. And sometimes I get it backwards and it won't hold. So I come down here, separate the beads, separate everything out so I can get a good look at that knot and then pull both sides. And either what's going to happen is, as you're pulling both sides, you're actually going to tighten that knot up, or if you've done the knot the wrong way, you're going to pull on it and your knot is going to start to slip open and you'll see, oh, whoops, I didn't get this one tight. But you'll see that your knot is not good. So the number one thing, let me undo this so I can retie it. I didn't have enough tension on it. The number one thing with tying the knot is looking at it. Don't just go blind, you know? Don't just tie your knot and assume that you've done a good job and just stick it in a bead, because that may not be true. And you can visually tell by looking at the knot whether it's actually knotted or not. And of course, pulling on it also helps. So I didn't pull up the slack on this enough, so I'm going to pull some more. So I just undid that first level of knot, Okay, giving it a good pull. Now again, holding that tension with my fingers. Okay, same thing. Once, twice, right? And then pull. Okay, open it back up. Oh, I did it on the wrong side of that. Good grief. It'll pull through. Or it won't, because I captured the I captured the spacer bead. Oh my goodness. Such a simple thing to do, and here I am messing it all up. All right, so this time don't catch the spacer bead. Once, twice. Now, it's all right. That spacer bead is just right in my way. There we go. This time I didn't catch it. All right, pull tight. Pull everything apart. Okay, holding the beads, and now pull again. And you can see this one, I went the wrong direction. And I'm not mad at it, because you know what? I'm showing you guys, right? I'm showing you guys why it's important to look. You want the knots to go in the same direction. And now you're seeing it doesn't work if they don't go in the same direction. All right, so we're just going to take them apart again. Okay, crossing over, left over right. Okay, taking the left strand under, under. Okay, pull it tight. Hold that tension. Same thing, under, under. Pull it tight. Don't catch that spacer bead. Give it a good pull. Pull it apart and pull, and this time it caught. That's the right way. Okay, so now you want to trim your ends off. Well, with a cutter, not your pliers. I like to leave myself just a little hair of some ends, and then pull it through that large hole bead. Okay, so now you've got a bracelet. And that was, it really is easy. I know I showed you and then had to undo it, and showed you and had to do it. But you know, that's exactly right. Mary says mistakes teach us. That's exactly right, because you're going to make a mistake with tying the knot, particularly if you're sitting here chit-chatting and your knotting doesn't go the same direction, right? So now the endurance test is putting it on to see. Now, if you are worried about it, you can definitely go in there and add a little drop of hypo cement to your knot. But in my, I had a word. In my experience, there we go, sorry, words are hard. In my experience, if you've got a really good surgeon's knot, the glue, it's really not necessary. It's just extra insurance, okay? You don't have to have it, but if you worry, particularly if you're going to sell stretch bracelets in a booth, go ahead. You know, there's no reason not to add the glue, right? If it's inside a bead, nobody's ever going to see it anyway. So no problems with just adding a little bit of glue. All right, so there with that one. Now let's do another one, and I'm going to show you the knot that is actually on. Let's see, what strand do I want to do? Let's do a Pantone strand, shall we? Let's do this biking red. This is so beautiful. Those deep, deep maroon colors. I'm so in love with this. So this strand is, even for me, this one's going to be a little short, so we are going to pop a couple of beads in with this one. And I have, actually from the mix that goes with this strand, the little Design Elements mix, some of those beads were red, so, and they're in the same kind of red as this, so that's what we're going to use. Okay, so same thing, just going to undo the strand here. We're going to string this one exactly like it is, but I'm going to show you this weird knot that is on the back. Don't tell everybody at Beadalon that I called their knot weird. It's a good knot and it's really secure, but it is a big bulky knot, and I am just not about, I'm not about that life unless I've got a good bead to hide that in. All right, so stretching out the elasticity, Giving it a good stretch. All the way down, even to the ends. And then going back, wrapping it around my fingers and just really, really giving it a good pull. Okay. So now we're going to thread on the strand just like it is. And searching for a large whole bead, which I know is going to be down here on the end. Either one of these will work. So we're just going to thread until we get to the one down here, and we'll just add those extra beads past it to the other side. Okay, so the knot that I'm going to show you is a really good knot if you don't care if your knot shows, right? Because sometimes you just can't get around it. Sometimes there's nowhere to hide that knot, so you may as well just accept it and make the knot part of the design. And elasticity actually comes in a couple of different colors, so you really could make it part of the design. It's just not my favorite. I like to hide it. I don't like it for it to show, but I was going to add one of these red beads to this just to make it a little bigger. Forgot about that. Okay. So, does anybody have any questions out there about stretchy bracelets? I don't know what other information I could give you. I feel like really the biggest part of this is all about the knot itself and pre-stretching that cord. Okay, so this is where the knot is going to go. So these last couple of beads, I'm going to add these to the other end down here. And take those off. And thread this on. Okay, so now let's talk about this knot. The hole on this bead is large. It may not even be large enough for this knot, but we're going to hope that it is. Because like I said, this is a big old knot. All right, just go ahead and re-stretch that out a little bit. Okay, so for this knot, you're actually going to double your cords together. Okay, so you want to stretch them out. Catherine, you can double strand your elasticity. If you're going to double strand elasticity, I probably should have gone ahead and gotten that ready to show you guys, but we can always talk about that again because stretchy bracelets are never going to go out of style. One of the ways that I like to double thread a stretchy bracelet is with a needle. And you either use a large hole needle or you can use a leader needle, and that's where you tie a needle to some thread and then tie on to your elasticity. Particularly when you're using the thicker elasticity, because a lot of times your beads won't go twice or your elasticity won't fit through there twice unless you're using a needle. I don't normally double strand mine just because I trust the knot that I make, but particularly when I'm using some thinner elasticity, I do like to double strand it. And if I'm using some really expensive gemstones, I would double strand it for sure, okay? Just that extra insurance. Whatever you need to make yourself feel secure about the piece of jewelry, then go for it, you know? All right, stretching out. Now, I've got the two strands together, right? I'm pinching them together. So, I'm going to use my fingers again. I'm going to go around my fingers. Just looped my fingers through, right? And then I'm going to take this under once, under twice. And then, then you have to wiggle your fingers out while also pulling, right? This is why this is a weird one. So I want to keep the tension on the knot and also slip my, look, I'm just really pulling the heck out of my finger. And here's the knot. So That knot is the most, number one, this is the most ugly knot in the whole world because it's huge, but this is the probably strongest knot you could ever tie in elasticity. That's why it's on the packaging. It's not a pretty knot. That's a big, bulky, huge honking knot. But the reason is because it holds. There is nothing, nothing is going to pull that out, right? This is probably the number one strongest knot that you could use probably for just about anything. When you double your strands and you do a double surgeon's knot and you pull it down, it makes this barrel shape. It's almost like, and since it's clear, it's kind of hard for you to see, but it's almost like a noose knot or a moose knot. I know a lot of people call it either or. Sort of like a slip knot, but it doesn't move, right? But that's the strongest knot you could make. The problem is that it's huge. That is a pain. So what happens is it comes out to one side. You can see that's also, you know, so you make this part of your design. So you've got all your beads lined up and then you're just going to see that knot and the cut ends, or you're going to get lucky and have a bead that's got a big enough hole that you can actually pull it into. But a lot of times that knot is so big, it won't fit into anything, right? But I'm fortunate to have a good size hole on this bead, so I'm going to go ahead and trim the tails off and call it a day with this one. It's a good knot. I'm not going to lie. It really is a great knot, but it's huge. There. So now I know this bracelet is not going to come undone. This is like the best knot, but it's ugly. I'm not gonna lie, it's an ugly one. Luckily you don't see it on here, but man, it's just a good looking knot. But it holds. Oh my gosh, check me out. I'm like a gypsy today, loving it. I feel like a genie with all this arm candy. All right, one more. Let's do it quick. One more, and then you guys can get on with your day. So this is another one of those strands from the Destination Hawaii collection. You guys, this one, oh, look at that bead. So pretty. Absolutely gorgeous. You guys, 40% off strands until 9 p.m. Go, go, go. Let's do this first, but then go, right? Go after we make one more bracelet, because why not, right? Stretchy bracelets. You can never have enough stretchy bracelets. And somebody said to me one time, it was actually here, I believe. Someone said, I'm so glad to see you make a stretchy bracelet. I don't think I was making one. I think I was talking about it. But she said, I'm so glad to hear that you make stretchy bracelets, because that's the only bracelets that she makes. And what she was saying is that she felt like stretchy bracelets were inferior, rather, I suppose. And I told her, absolutely not. Stretchy bracelets are not inferior. Stretchy bracelets, even some of the biggest names in jewelry, and I'm not going to name drop any, but I'm talking, you know, the guys with the little blue box and the little blue bag, even they use stretchy material for some of their bracelets. So stretchy material, stretchy bracelets, they're never going to go out of style. They fit everybody, right? You've got a huge selection of sizes in one bracelet, which is awesome. And if you tie your knot, it's going to last. It's going to last a really long time, particularly if you double check your gemstones. Make sure that you don't have any sharp edges. And yeah, you can pay a lot for a bracelet that's just on elastic cord. Now, I knew this might be an issue where some of these beads have a really small hole, but we can always improvise if we need to. Yeah, I don't think that's going to fit. Oh, wait. It might. Yeah, it did. Awesome. Sometimes the hole it's deceptively, it looks small, but it's really not. Just have to give it a little extra love. And If you're not using a needle, one of the large hole or one of the larger beads, it takes a minute to find the other side. Because that elasticity is so limp, I would say. What's the word I'm looking for? You know, it's so flexible that it tends to kind of bow inside. All right, so this is one where, unfortunately, the knot is going to show. There is not a large hole bead on this strand that I feel like is big enough for the knot, but that's okay. And that's part of the reason that I picked this strand, actually, because I wanted to show you that it's okay for your knot to show. In case you needed more than just me to say it to you. It's one of those things where if the knot shows, you have to remember you're using clear. Nobody is really going to see it. And there's the 10-foot rule that a friend of mine always reminds me of, which I use for earrings a lot of times because sometimes, particularly with wire wrapping, I want everything to be perfect. I want them all to... Gwen, this is 1 millimeter elasticity. I want everything to match. Like I want them to be exactly the same with earrings. And sometimes that's just not going to happen, you know? And when you put them on, the question is, from 10 feet away, hold on, I'm going to need an awl just for a second. From 10 feet away, nobody can tell, right? Same thing with your elasticity. It's clear. And from 10 feet away, nobody is going to see that knot. And honestly, from 3 feet away, nobody is going to see the knot either. That's why it's clear. All right, we've got just a couple more beads to go. And I'm going to have a ton of arm candy to wear as I go out to run errands today, which I do not want to do, but you know how it is. Some things you just have to do. If you don't, then you don't have paper towels and you don't have toilet paper, and then and then it's a whole thing. All right. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I've got to the end, and like I said, there's no, this last little bead here, there's no large hole bead on this strand to hide this knot. So we're just going to live with it, and that's fine. I'm okay with it. You are so right. Rita said, looking at the beautiful beads, nobody will ever notice the knot. That's so true. That's so, so true. Okay. So I'm just pulling some more just to double check. Okay. So my instinct is to do that double knot that I just did a second ago, but I'm not going to. We're actually going to brave the surgeon's knot again for a second time, which is actually what, like an 8th or 9th time since that first time around. All right, so crossing them over, left over right, going under once and then under twice, pulling it up and pull. And this is going to be a tricky one because those little beads are going to want to jump right into that knot the second time. All right, so I've got that pulled tight. Same thing. Okay. Just pulling them apart, under once, under twice, and pull it down. And don't catch any of your beads. Pull, pull, pull. Okay. Now pull your beads apart. Make sure that you got your knots going in the right direction. They are. Oh, but look, I didn't stretch out my stuff enough. Same thing that I did before. I didn't stretch enough, and so what ends up happening is my bracelet is a little on the loose side, so I don't want that. I'm going to do it one more time, and this time I'm going to pull. It's a fine line between pulling it too tight to make some sharp edges or pulling it just right. So even though it seems pretty easy just to tie a knot, it does take a little bit of practice to get the tension right on your elasticity, because it is going to move and stretch on you as you're working with it, right? I mean, it's elastic. Okay, so again, same thing. Left over right, under, under, pull tight. Now this time, really pull on it. Okay. And then you can even hold it with one hand and stretch it this direction if you want to, just to make sure you've got that tension right. All right, second time, under once, under twice, pull down without capturing a bead. Come on, little guy. There we go. Pull tight. All right, come down. Pull the beads apart so that you can get a good visual on that and pull. And this one's slipping. I went the wrong direction. Same thing. Better for you to see, right? Exactly. Linda said, love seeing all the mistakes. It makes it's real. It makes you feel comfortable. You're exactly right. I mean, I could tie this knot 1,000,000 times and I'm never going to be an expert on tying elastic. That's just the way it is. You know, sometimes you're holding it and you take the cord one direction, you think you've gone the other direction. That's just part of it. Holding, under, under, pull down, pull tight. And I'm really pulling, okay? Come down on it, pull. I don't know if it caught or not. It did. So see, just took a couple of times. But the problem is that there's no large hole bead here. Whoops, there we go. There's no large hole bead, so that knot is going to show no matter what we do, right? Yes, Suzanne, it's really hard to tell the direction of the knot. That's why sometimes it takes twice to do it, because you're going to hold, let me just take a scrap piece and show you, okay? We'll actually thread a bead on here real quick, just so we've got something. You want the strands to go in the same direction twice, but it's hard to do that when you're also pulling the tension, and depending on where you've got your fingers placed, it's hard to make sure that those strands of elasticity are going in the same direction. So crossing over, under, right? And then you want to pull that down, but you also have to hold that tension. So in order to hold the tension, you're kind of looping your fingers around, and then you may end up with left over right, right over, it may be opposite, and you don't even realize it. You want to try to keep that left over right both times, and you can do it right over left, but you've got to be sure that you do right over left both times too. And, you know, it's tricky when you're holding on, you've got your fingers in your way, you know, you're right. Practice, 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 but then you pull it down the second time. Hopefully it's caught if you've got a good visual on it. But if you don't, you know, and you've made one mistake in the direction, then that knot's not going to hold. So sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Nobody said that elastic bracelet knot tying is like a beginner thing. I'm sorry, it's just not. It's not a beginner thing. It's one of those things where it's a lesson in patience, you know, and it's really important that you've got a good visual. If you can't get a good visual on that, get a magnifier and look at it, because you can actually see the knot happening down here on it. But you've got to have this so close to your face, which I can't do to keep it in the shot for you guys. It's hard to tell. So now we have a bracelet that has a knot, and we have our little ends that are sticking out, but that's okay. Nobody's going to see it, right? Nobody's going to notice. Oh my goodness. I bet, I bet if I wear these out today, somebody will stop me and ask me, why right over left? It doesn't matter. You just want to be sure that you're going the same direction both times. for the 2 steps of the knot. So for the first time, if you go right over left, then the second step of the knot, you want to go right over left again. But if you go left over right the first time, then you want to go left over right the second time too. I hope that makes sense, right? All right, so there we are. Lots and lots of arm candy today, you guys. Oh my goodness. So, see, we've all learned today that elasticity is tricky. It's tricky. That's just the way it is. You know, it just takes practice. But man, oh man, look at this bead, you guys. Look at that. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, well, right. In an ideal world, but not always possible. You're so right. Yeah. You know, it would be great if every single time I tied that knot, it would catch. But the truth is that 9 times out of 10, it doesn't catch. And so you're going to tie it again. That's real life, right? You guys are always going to get real with me. I'm never going to pretend like I know everything or that I'm perfect at any of it. I can promise you that I am not. So it's all good. It's all good. All right. Just a reminder. It's Giving Tuesday. Make yourself some stretch bracelets and give them away, right? Be kind. Be kind to everybody out there. Be really kind to yourself, you guys. That's probably number one. You can't give what you don't have, right? You can't give it away if you don't have it for yourself. So be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. I feel like a talk show host. Take advantage. Cyber Prime Day 2019. It is happening. Check it out over on jessiejamesbeads.com. You can get 40% off of strands until 9 p.m. $49 will get you a free shipping, which is phenomenal. And 10% of your proceeds today from any of those sales is going to go to Beads of Courage. So there's lots of reasons, right? Lots of reasons to shop, and more deals coming at you. This is just the second day of Cyber Prime Day. So, you know, sign up for those emails if you haven't done that already. You guys have a wonderful rest of the day. I will be back with you on Thursday at 11 a.m. We are going to be doing a really fun earrings project. Then you'll see me again at 6:30, and you'll see me again the following day at 1. Just gear up for it. Get ready for it. Got lots of Sara coming at you. Have an awesome, awesome afternoon, you guys. One more thing before I go. I don't want to forget this. Number 1, post any of your beautiful strands and your stretchy bracelets on the Secret Stash group. Number 2, if you do not follow Jessie James Beads over on Pinterest, please head on over there and follow us on Pinterest. Send a message to the Jessie James little icon over on Pinterest, and I will invite you to come and pin on the Secret Stash board where everyone is showing off all of their amazing creations made from Jessie James Beads. And just consider it as like free advertising, right? You're sharing your work with the world, because then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to pin it in other places, so it's going to get seen. Show off those beautiful Jessie James beads and your creativity. All right, have an amazing day. I will see you guys soon. Bye, guys.